Alright, for today's lesson we are going to be finding the sum, difference, and product and quotient of functions, meaning that we're going to add, subtract, multiply, and divide various functions. Alright, this is just some basic rules. You'll find them on your worksheet for adding, subtracting, and doing all these things, kind of examples as well. Let's just get started with the first one, which is adding functions. Alright, first thing we're going to do is take function f, which is this one right here, x squared minus 4. We're going to add to that function g, which is 2x plus 1. Now, when you do that, we don't really need the parentheses in this one since that's addition. So x squared minus 4 is the first one, plus 2x plus 1 is the second one. And now then we'll just combine our like terms. We have an x squared, we have a 2x, that's a positive 2x, and we have a negative 4 plus a 1, which is minus 3. And there's your answer. Now let's move on to subtraction. I've got my x squared minus 4. I'm going to subtract from that the 2x plus 1. Now remember, it's imperative, it's important that you go through and distribute this minus to both of these terms. So you're going to have x squared minus 4, no problem there, minus 2x, minus a positive 1, so minus 1. Combine your like terms just like we did here. That's going to give us x squared minus 2x, negative 4 minus 1 is minus 5. So this is addition and subtraction. Now we'll move on to multiplication. Okay, in this problem I'm going to be multiplying function f times function g. A couple ways you can do that, but I think the easiest way is just take function f, which is x squared plus 7x plus 12, and we're just going to multiply it by function g, which is 3x minus 4. Be sure that everything here gets multiplied by everything here. So what I'm talking about is make sure you take your x squared times your 3x. That's going to give me 3x to the third. Your x squared times your negative 4. That's minus 4x squared. Alright, we've multiplied the x squared. Now let's multiply the 7x. 7x times 3x is 21x. Forgot 7x times 3x, 21x squared. That's better. And 7x times negative 4 is minus 28x. Alright, we've taken care of that. Now let's do the 12. 12 times 3x is 36x. And 12 times negative 4 is minus 48. Once you've done the multiplication, now we simply combine all of our like terms. I've got a 3x to the third. That's all my x to the thirds. Negative 4x squared plus 21x squared. So 21 minus 4, that's going to be 17x squared. And then I've got the minus 28x plus the 36x. 36 minus 28 is 8, so that's plus 8x. And then that minus 48 on the end, and that one's complete. So we got addition, subtraction, multiplication, and now the fun one, division. Okay, taking function f and dividing it by function g. Function f on top is x squared plus 7x plus 12. On the bottom, 3x minus 4. Now I do want to be sure that I can't simplify this any further, so I'm going to take that top right there and I'm going to factor it apart to see if it's possible to simplify this. The x squared plus 7x plus 12. When you're breaking that apart, remember x and x, the signs are the same and they're both pluses. And now you need to think of two numbers that multiply to get you 12 while at the same time adding to get you 7. That would be 3 and 4. And since this top breaks then x plus 3 and x plus 4, and neither of those is 3x minus 4, we can't simplify. We don't need to worry about this. Alright, so this is your answer right here. Now one other part of this is to indicate any restrictions in the domain or range. We won't have to worry about range, but we do need to worry about the domain. Any value that would cause this to go to 0 in the denominator is what we call a domain restriction. Because remember, you cannot have a 0 in the denominator of your fraction. So let's go ahead and figure out what that would have to be, what x would have to be, to cause that to become 0. So I just set up this little math problem, take that and say it's equal to 0, and solve this using the basic algebra skills. Alright, and that gives me 3x equals 4, divide by 3, cancel, x is 4/3. So, if x were 4/3, this would be 0, so what I say over here as a domain restriction, I say x cannot equal 4/3. That's my domain restriction, and that's another part of my answer. So in today's lesson, just to recap, we learned how to add and subtract the sum and the difference of two functions. We learned how to multiply two functions, and we learned how to divide two functions and find the domain restriction. That's all I've got to say for today. Thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.